All right, so we're gonna talk about interpreting the slope and y-intercept, and it's just the meaning of the slope and y-intercept. And it's actually really easy. You will have questions like this on your final exam, okay? So they are super, super easy. So let's not forget our equation y equals mx plus b. M is your slope. It is also called the rate of change. We saw that a couple times last week. B is your y-intercept, or where you start. Okay, so again, your slope is how it changes. Your y-intercept is where it starts. So if we look at this first statement, a taxi charges 50 cents per 1 mile plus a flat fee of $4. So what is your slope? How does it change? We're going to talk about our meaning in a minute. What's your y-intercept? Yep, we started with 4, so our equation is y equals 0.50x plus 4. So it says, what is the meaning of the slope? Perfect. And I'm going to say a 50-cent increase per 1 mile. What is the meaning of the slope? We start with $4. That's it. So again, it's just writing it in words. All right, so the next one just has a table. That's all. That's the only difference. So we need to look at the slope and the y-intercept, and I'll tell you how to find that in a table. So remember, to find the slope, we either do y minus y over x minus x, or we can do the change in y over the change in x. If you had Mr. Troy, it was delta y over delta x. So if you can remember that, it's the same thing. Your 8th grade teachers did. That's all I can tell you. All right. So let's look at our y. Remember, the bottom of your chart is y. What's happening each time? So our y is going up 5. What about our x? So our slope is 5/3. All right, so this one is a little different than the other one because we only had the one underneath that was 50 cents per mile. If we look at this, remember this is our change in y. Y was the money, and 3 was dogs, or x was dogs. Okay, so y was money, x was dogs. So what is this meaning? What happens? Say it again. For every how many dogs? For every 3 dogs, the price increases by $5. That's it. And again, these are typically going to be multiple choice. They're not going to be like type them out. So you'll see it. These are really easy on the final exam. You should not miss these. The only way people miss them is they switch the slope and the y-intercept. So know what is what. Slope is the rate of change. Y-intercept is where we start. So on this chart, Don't think that you start at 3, okay? We always want to start at 0 on our chart. That'll tell us where our y-intercept is. So I'll have to go backwards. Since I was adding 3 this way, and when I get to 0, 3 minus 3 is 0, that number underneath it is going to be my y-intercept. So it'll always be like that. So in your chart, you're looking for your 0, or you make it to 0, but you use the other number. So then I go backwards down here. I was adding 5. So I'm going to subtract 5. And one more time, the number on the bottom is your y-intercept. It is the number with 0 in the chart. The number on the bottom is your y-intercept, so that is 5. So if on the taxi we started with a flat fee of $4, what does this mean, this 5? And remember, it's the y-intercept, so it's the money and food. It's where we start at what? Start at $5 for food. You're okay. So then what's my equation? Y equals, what do we find our slope to be? Come on, guys. What's our slope? It's right there on the paper. Somebody other than Corbin, because I appreciate you answering. I want somebody else to answer. 5/3. There we go. I knew you knew it. Don't forget to put your X. Remember on EDA, if you don't put your X, you get it wrong. Be ready for that. And then what was our y-intercept? +5. Perfect. That's our equation. All right. Back to a word problem. Jackson bought a computer that came with 30 programs. He added 5 programs to his computer every month. So how many programs were there at the beginning? 30. How many programs are increasing each month? 5. So the interpretation of the y-intercept, remember the y-intercept is where we start. What do we start with? 30 programs. What about the slope? What did we do each time? And plus is increased. That's okay. By 5 programs. Each what? Month. Perfect. So be smart about your equation. Y equals, what was our rate of change or our slope? How did we change? How did we change? Say it again. Nope. Which is our change? 30 was where we started. Sorry, y'all. 30 was where we started. 5 was each month. So which one was our change? 5. We changed 5, increased 5 each month. 5 is your slope. Okay. Beginning means your start. So 30 is your y-intercept. Don't forget that. Plus 30. Perfect. Okay, it tried to trick you by writing them backwards, so just be aware of that. All right, next page. The graph below shows the number of newspapers delivered and total pay for Leona's newspaper delivery job. So we know how to find the slope on a graph. Just make sure that you watch your scale. So if you look at these, they go by 5s, right? 5, 10, 15, 20. They don't go by 1s. So when you do your rise and your run, you need to be careful. So remember to find your slope. You do rise over run. We already know this. This is not new. Here's a perfect point, and here's a perfect point. How high did we go? We went up what? 5, because our scale is by 5s. We went over 4 boxes, but each one is 5, so we actually went over how many? 20. Yeah, 5 over 20. And when we reduce that, you guys can do that in your calculator if you need to. It's going to be 1/4. All right, so here's where it gets confusing about the meaning. Make sure that you understand. This is y over x. Y was your total pay. That comes from right here. This is your Y. Newspapers delivered. Go right here. This is the slope we're looking at. So your total paper is going to, your total pay is going to do what? Increase by 1 for every, how many newspapers? 4 newspapers. So pay, total pay increases. Why do we say increase? Because it's positive slope. $1 per 4 newspapers. Pretty crappy job, I feel like. $1 for, it's like a quarter of paper. Where's your y-intercept? Where did this graph start? 0. Where did it cross the y-intercept, or where it crossed the y-axis is at 0? So what's the meaning? We started with what? $0. No newspapers, no, no pay. Okay, remember we're doing y equals mx plus b. Our slope was 1/4. Don't forget your x. And what did we start with? 0. Remember that remember that we don't need that 0, so it should be 1/4 x. And I think Edia did not like you having that 0 on it on Friday, if I can remember. All right, we're getting close to being done. Not too much more. Okay. The function below shows the cost to ride a taxi in New York City. So this says the function of miles, okay? Function of miles. So that means the miles is what's going to change, and then your F is going to be your total price, okay? So the function below shows the cost to ride in a taxi. What is the y-intercept? So remember, we have y equals mx plus b. Look at it that way. 550 is your intercept. It's always that number without x. So then what is your slope? 150. Very good. Now, here's where you need to realize what this is. I'm going to write this function again. And M stands for miles. And this is the cost, okay? Your cost, total cost. So let's look at what it gives us. If the taxi ride cost $18.50, how many miles was the trip? So where would I put $18.50? I'm sorry, $18.75, thank you. Where would I put it? Where it says cost, right? So I wanted you guys to understand where to put it. So $18.75 equals 150. You can change that to x if you want to, it doesn't matter. But now we're going to solve this equation. So what variable are we trying to solve for? What's on the same side but not with it? How do I get rid of a positive 550? You don't have to right this second, but you probably will need one. I'm going to help you out with it. So we're going to subtract 550 and we get 1325 equals 150m. And then how do I get m by itself? Divide by 150. And I'm going to show you guys that on your calculator. You can get it in a minute. You don't need it right now. 1325 divided by 150 is 8.83 miles. If it's on EDA, you do want to put it into a fraction, so 53/6, but on this one, you don't have to, okay? Is everybody good? Any questions? Okay, we're almost done.
Then I have one question.
Yes.
On number 4, how'd you get 20? Like, how'd you get across?
Because it went over 20 because your scale is by fives. That's all. All right, 2 more questions, 2 more. Same thing, we got a chart again this time. Remember on our chart to get our y-intercept, we got to have it at 0, right? So our y-intercept is not shown yet, but it will be. All right, so we need our slope. Remember our slope is our change in y over our change in x, and your y is on the bottom and your x is on top. So how do I get from 27 to 39, 39 to 51? If you're not sure, the best way to do this is subtract them from each other. So 51 minus 39 is 12. So if you guys look, 27 plus 12, plus 12, plus 12. So each time I'm going by 12, so a plus 12. On the top is really easy. What are we doing each time? Or just 12. You can leave it just 12. So remember, y is what you paid. If you want to leave it as 12, everyone, to help you, that's fine. This is what you paid. And then the bottom is the hours rented. So what does this mean? Increase $12 per 1 hour. Perfect. So the price will increase $12 per 1 hour. All right, so now we got to find out where it starts. So the way we do that is we go backwards and we try to find the 0. So if this is plus 1, and I'm going to do it way over here, and I get 0 when I subtract 1. In the bottom, instead of adding 12, I'm going to minus 12. You can use your calculator and you get 15. Which one is my y-intercept? 15 is your y-intercept. We use the number, not the 0. Okay, don't use the 0. So your y-intercept is 15. What does it mean? Start at $15, and it's dollars because it's the amount paid. So what is your equation? Y equals, what was your slope? 12x. What was your y-intercept? Plus 15. That's it. Any questions? All right, look at your next one. Your homework's going to be just like this. It is not on EDIA today. Okay, it is not on EDIA today. But anything that you have left on EDIA to do, you guys need to do that. Some of you have not done work in a week. We need to get on that. Okay.
Does this one use stuff like mine? Like,
Yeah, we're going to do 9. I think. Hold on, we might do 10. What do we do? No, we did 10. So let's do that. From this point, we're going to do 10. All right. Colby put $100 in a savings account. The graph below shows how the amount in the account would increase over the next 10 years. Watch your scales. Watch your scales. So our slope, we're going to do rise over run. If our rise was 100 to 150, we had a rise of 50 and a run of 10. Hold on. So remember, our slope is rise over run. Our rise was 50. Our run was 10. And 50 divided by 10 is 5. If you want to, go ahead and put it as a 1 underneath to help you with the meaning. You do not need the 1 when you write the equation. So what was our y's? What does it say on our y-axis? But what was it called in words? What's our y-axis? Amount in dollars. So this is money. And then on the bottom, our x's was years. So this should be money. Sorry, you can't really see it. All right, so what's the meaning? What about his savings account? Savings increases how much? $5 per 1 year. You don't need the one, you can just put per year, and that is fine as well. What's your y-intercept? Where do we start? 100. What's the meaning? What's the 100? Started at, remember the y-intercept? Dollars. Started with $100. Perfect. And then the last thing, what's your equation? Mm-hmm. Perfect. That's it. Any questions? Again, your homework is just like this. It's actually fairly easy. It literally looks just like this. So fill it in, whatever. I think it's multiple choice. So be ready for that as well. It will not take you very long. What I suggest that you do, and if you're on Zoom, don't go yet. What I suggest you do is get this one done and then go back and do anything you haven't finished, especially if it's Fridays. And if you're, I mean, y'all got to get that done. Friday, a lot of you got absences. I think I had like 10 absences on Friday out of this class because you just didn't do your work. It's not a free day. Okay. When you're not in school, it is not a free day. Those of you on Zoom, if you're sitting in class, it's not a free day. You have got to get things done. So please go back, and any white boxes you have other than orientation week, I don't care about orientation week, any white boxes that you have on the EDIA app, please go in and finish those. Also, if you don't like your test grades from the first unit, go back and fix them. You can redo them. If you sit in class at some point and you would like me or Ms. Walter to work with you, that's fine. If you're on Zoom or you're remote only, ask us and we'll set up a Zoom with you. It's real simple. You take control of your grades. If you're failing, it's on you, guys, because we have done about everything that we can. We can't make you come to the Zooms and we can't make you do your work. It's on you. Got it? We got to get done. Zoomers, wait just a minute. I'm going to stop sharing, stop recording.